What if we can reinvent mining? What if we can make it the kind of industry that everyone likes and respects? Obviously, it's not that right now. I think there are some answers to some of those problems. My name is Mike Beare, and I work for H5 Resources, and we're going to hear about my project in Uganda in this presentation. How did this start? Well, it all started with myself and a friend. We were looking for a new start to our careers after working in Uzbekistan on some very large projects, and we decided we wanted to start a mining company or a startup in the critical minerals space. And we discovered there was a problem. Mining has a very poor image. Nobody likes mining, really. I'm not going to go into all the details. Everybody knows it, and there's a good illustration in the picture there on the right-hand side. Mining companies are generally not very good community actors, and they get into all sorts of trouble, whether it's hurting people, hurting the environment, get disputes with government. So our thoughts were, well, how can we do it differently? How can we change this perception? And what would this look like? If we can flip it over, how can we do mining differently to avoid some of these problems? Well, the solution was to form a new company, which is really a low-carbon mining company, as it were, or an environmental management company, but new from the bottom up. We wanted to think about it differently, and we wanted to try and attack sustainability as something that we do within our DNA, and we're not playing catch-up all the time. So we'd have to build the low-carbon outcomes into the project right at the outset. How about concepts like a green feasibility study? We hear all these BFS, DFS, whatever. How about a GFS? So anyway, we wanted to reinvent things and do things differently, and we formed H5 Resources for that purpose. A mining startup founded on the principles of very low carbon emissions and the very best ESG practices, particularly social. That we saw that as a big problem for the mining industry, and we should try and tackle that head on. Now, having started a company, obviously we needed a project. So we started looking around for what would be a suitable project for our vision. And we wanted to build green from the outset. We looked at greenfield projects and exploration, but that takes too long. Also, an operating mine, we thought about that, but again, that takes a lot of money, which we didn't have. And also, it can be hard to rewire the DNA of an existing company because they're established, and it's hard to change that approach to the way they operate. Anyway, after a long search, we found Mwerasandu Tin Project in southwest Uganda. And I'm going to tell you a bit more about that project right now and why we chose it. Well, the Mwerasandu Tin Mine is quite a compelling story because it was discovered in 1925 by a prospector who found 80 tons of cassiterite sitting on the top, made his fortune. It's a great origin story. And ever since then, it was an underground mine. There was a formal period and then an informal period. And the official records have about 6,000 tons of tin, but since then the level of activity since the mine closed in 1960 has been quite high, and it's easily produced a similar amount of tin, and we know that from various records that have been made available to us from the miners themselves. So at the moment they're doing about half a ton of cassiterite a day, mainly from rat holes into the underground mine with some alluvial mining. This project, as you can see in the slide there, that red outline is our license. The lighter coloured object in it is Mwerasandu Hill, and that's the object of all of the current and future mining. There's quartz reefs containing tin that outcrop on the surface there that were discovered, and they dip almost vertically in the hill, striking that sort of southeast northwest direction along the hill. So it's all added access. The tin's very coarse. No chemicals are required to separate it, just standard jigs and tables. There is some beryllium in the ore that was known about historically, and there's quite a lot of information on that, but we're not sure about other minerals. There is a pegmatite lode there, but we don't have any assay information for other minerals apart from tin and beryllium, certainly not lithium. So the site is actually connected to the power grid. We have a transformer there, a 3.3 kV power line comes in, and we're hoping that we can work with the artisanal miners there, or planning, and we'll deliver a transformation for them. I'll talk about that in a minute. The mine is fully permitted. It's a mining license and it has an environmental permit to operate, so there's no further permitting steps required for production. So you may ask, what are we going to do with this asset? Well, our vision is to, in line with our sustainability goals, is to close this operation as we open it and start working the deposits there. You'll see in that picture in front of me there's Mwerasandu Hill, and you can see the old dumps on it, that we will be extracting alluvial gravels and progressively reclaiming the whole license to plant biomass of some kind. And that is how we wish to try and achieve our negative carbon status, as long as doing other things like having electric mining fleet and perhaps some other initiatives to generate biogas and other byproducts of the mine. We wish to make use of all of the tailings, so the sand and gravel will be sold, and that will give us some extra income stream, but also it means that we don't need to store that material on site. So we will just have on-site storage for the clay that we later intend to use for brick making, perhaps using biogas that we'll have generated on site. So that ethos of repurposing all tailings is actually central to what we're doing to make the operation carbon negative and to save the cost as well of building facilities for those. So our program to employ the artisanal miners will be an outreach program. We're just about to start that, where we go down their pits and we make a decision about how we can support them in the future and whether we buy their tin. In the past, all tin was smuggled from Mwerasandu, and that has been recently stopped, and they've been selling to the local smelter. But currently H5 doesn't have anything to do with the miners. They operate independently through an association, but we have made sure that they don't lose their livelihoods as a result of us being on site. So that's a very important to make about managing the situation with the artisanal miners. We're allowing them to make their living until such time as we can assist them properly and actually employ them. So we see in the future our vision will be a proper formal underground mine, but also there will be surface workings or shallow workings where there will be small-scale mining, whether they're directly our employees or contractors is a detail. We will be responsible for them. So that's how we see it in the future, and we see ourselves as being a model for how you deal with artisanal miners on your license and work together for common objectives. So I mentioned about the power supply is low carbon from hydro, from the dam on Lake Victoria, and we're also expecting to have our own solar grid. We have a biodiversity plan for planting out the license as part of our biomass program, and eventually, as I say, we aim to producing 3,000 to 4,000 tonnes of tin a year. So that's really what we're looking to do with the project, and let me show you a bit more detail about what the underground mine looks like. So on the right hand side of this slide, you will see the underground mine workings that we've had digitised by SRK. The coloured sort of blob shapes there are the ore bodies that we have modelled from the old workings. You can see around the north and south sides of the mine, you can see there's various tunnels. The mine was accessed by adits, and we're in the process of re-establishing those. And in 2024, we have managed to pay crop compensation over parts of the licence to construct our site. We've established the power line, offices, we have a water supply borehole system, we have a 1 tonne an hour test plant, we've completed 2,000 metres of drilling on alluvial targets south of the hill. We've also established 2 ponds on site, for one's for tailings and one's for processed water, and between them they have about 15,000 cubic metres of capacity. We've established a nursery for our ongoing environmental goals on the site, and we're expecting to have that up to a capacity of several thousand trees a year it will produce. The community outreach has started with the miners, as I mentioned. The rope access people will be coming very soon to explore what the artisanal miners are doing. And last but not least, progress on 2024 would not be complete without talking about the alluvial process plant. That is being commissioned in February, and that will give us some early stage tin production that will allow us to finance our activities on site. So certainly 2024 has been an active year for H5 and Mwerasandu, and we've achieved a great deal. So what are we going to do in 2025? Well, firstly, we're going to ramp up production from our alluvial deposits up to 30 tonnes an hour, and possibly look to increase that also, and also supplement that feed with old dumps and stockpiles that we'll be cleaning up as part of our rehabilitation program. We shall be establishing markets for our sand and gravel products, which is going to significantly reduce the cost of building materials in the district and actually that region, because we will be able to sell our products very competitively, and that will allow the price to come down to the consumers and allow more construction to be carried out because the costs will be lower. Also, the quality of our products will be very high. Currently, the sand market in the area is mostly river sand that's taken from rivers. It damages the environment, but it's full of clay, and it presents problems for construction. So we'll solve two problems with that materials. We'll provide high quality materials at very good prices. Now we're also looking to get involved with the artisanal miners in the mountain, and we're going to do that by going in with a rope access team that will allow us safe access to see what they're doing, and then we can decide how we're going to support them going forward as our process of formalisation starts. We shall also be continuing with our carbon reduction activities, tree planting, and we expect to get the first phase of biogas done in 2025. Also, we're re-establishing the underground mine, which basically means shoveling out all of the detritus that has accumulated there in the last 60 years from informal mining activities ongoing in that mine. We will be getting an alluvial JORC resource statement by Q3. We plan to do more drilling, and we'll get SRK back on site to assist with that. They already provided some ground geophysics to give us an idea of where we could expect to find the gravels, and that was what we used for our drilling program early last year. So we expect to come up with life and mine plans for the alluvial and the underground. We shall commence a new decline, drive a completely new ramp from surface down to the deepest part of the mine. We expect to start that mid-year. There'll also be some underground mining that we'll be doing where we find some rich material, and we'll be needing to train our mining crews, so that will also be starting in 2025. And all in, we expect to produce 1 or 200 tonnes of tin metal during 2025, but obviously it depends on particularly the alluvial mining, how we can find some of the traps for tin where there's richer areas, because it's actually very difficult to predict the grade right now. So if we just look at 2026 and what we're planning to do there and beyond. Now, looking forward to 2026, obviously we are looking to re-establish the underground mine. We are looking forward to providing the ancillary facilities for that, which will be a larger plant and a tailings facility. We'll be continuing our alluvial production while we develop the underground mine. We're going to be implementing a biogas program to provide fuel for us for various activities, drying concentrates, cooking, and perhaps some brick kilns. And as I mentioned, our target is by 2028 to producing 3,000 to 4,000 tonnes of tin metal a year. We have a very clear vision at H5 to turn the mining industry into something better than it currently is. So please, follow us.